Heartbreaking, say global experts, alarmed at signs US has given up fight to stop COVID-19. I can't imagine what it must be like having to go to work knowing it's unsafe, said one expert in New Zealand. It's hard to see how this ends.
Here's a summary of the article.
Global public health experts are looking on in alarm and disbelief as the U.S. economy reopens even as COVID-19 case numbers continue to rise in a number of states, with President Donald Trump signaling he has no intention of calling for more economic shutdowns regardless of the outcome. I'm becoming convinced that COVID is not far from taking on the characteristics of gun violence. The U.S. will endure much higher, persistent negative effects from something that other countries have solved. We'll normalize it and convince ourselves nothing can be done. Michael Rosier, St. Louis University. While images of Americans crowding onto beaches and other public places may have given the international community the impression that the public have grown impatient with social distancing, a survey by the Associated Press last month showed 83% of Americans were concerned lifting lockdown orders too quickly would lead to more coronavirus infections. It really does feel like the U.S. has given up, Susie Wiles, a specialist at University of Auckland in New Zealand, told the Post. Devi Sridhar, chair of global public health at the University of Edinburgh, added that poor government responses to the pandemic in the US and the UK were inexcusable. As a global public health expert, I don't accept that US and UK poor responses were due to capacity. US will endure much higher, persistent negative effects from something that other countries have solved. We'll normalize it and convince ourselves nothing can be done.
This post received a score of 100,000, with an upvote ratio of 82%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
I live in FL. People do not give a shit about COVID-19 here.
Here in CA our governor just issued an executive order for everyone to wear masks at all times. I'd say a little more than half do. Not sure why it's not being enforced, at least by stores. Edit, done replying but just want to say see you all in quarantine, part 2.
I'm seeing it enforced in SoCal. 100% at grocery stores, pharmacies, etc. Board of Health can close stores down for non-compliance.
OC resident here. It's 50-50 wherever I go. I have family that doesn't think we need to wear masks either. Our chief medical director resigned last week because of death threats over mandatory masks and the new director reversed it, saying it's necessary but not mandatory no matter what Newsom says.
Now, most people comply, but there is always some shitbag who does not. Hell, I have minor environmental exposure-related lung and heart problems and wear them just the same as the elderly who I see at the door. Now, why do I call such people shitbags? Well, quite simple, their entire mentality about the situation boils down to one thing in that they are fine with risking others getting sick and dying as long as they are not personally inconvenienced by it in any way. Apparently to them it is still great enough of one to not need to care about other people's health and well-being. Edit, funny, in between various comments thus far I have been called a coward and other things by some conservative right-wing people here. Fuck, am an army retiree, served the nation and its people with some pride all to the point of permanent disability through duty in service for them both.
Where I'm at, masks are mandatory, but if you say you have a medical condition, you don't have to wear one, and you don't have to say what the medical condition is, either. From what I can tell, the most prevalent medical condition seems to be cranial rectosis. People like me are privileged to be able to work remotely as a matter of course. And the only risk I have to take is ogging to the grocery store or generally by choice. I wouldn't feel comfortable at all being compelled to work in compact and crowded places.
The accounting firm I work for sent out an email yesterday telling us that we have had less gross billings, less receipts, less new business and more trouble keeping people busy this year compared to last year. What did they blame these problems on? The sudden and deep recession? The fact that the tax deadlines got pushed from April to July, so half our business got moved back 3 months? Or maybe the fact that a bunch of our employees are no longer spending time printing out things that were emailed to us and scanning them back in again? No, our business problems are not related to any of these things. I guarantee that we are back in the office by the fall, if not sooner. I think it's going to be a similar story for a lot of white-collar professionals.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.